Hello, my people. Today I will explain to you why we are where we are today in society on a micro level and on a macro level, which means I will explain the condition of individuals in the micro level, families, smaller communities, as well as the whole picture of society, politicians, politics, you name it. Nothing more, nothing less. Yes, and in order to understand this, we need to drink a lot of coffee. Um, See, let me get comfortable here. To understand this, we need to look back in time, of course, because society has grown and we are influenced by the basic ideas of our society, whether we want it or not. So we have to understand the influences that influence us. We are grown. We are not just, this is how it is. No, it is not just coming in creation and being the way it is. No, it has been in a certain shape and then it has changed over time and slowly, maybe even being upside down at some point, right? So it's all growth, change, continuously changing. This is history. Okay, so what is it that influences us? We have to look and think back in time. And what influences the Western world, I'm talking about our Western civilization, basically. Everybody knows that, now let me put it this way. First, it happens in America, or in America it happens in a big way, in a in a way that cannot be, more satiric. You cannot be more satiric, or you cannot dramatize something more than it is happening in America. And then in a small scale, in a little reflection, it goes to all the countries of the Western civilization and being restaged and replayed and mimicked and copied and bought and sold the same way. Everybody is getting the picture from America. All right. Talking about the Western civilizations, right? Okay. And we are influenced, this world, I mean, the settlers going to America came from Europe and other parts, basically from Europe. And yeah, our civilization, the ideas coming from the Greek philosophers, and as well they are influenced by Christianity the most. So it's a combination of Christianity and Greek philosophy. So there would be no democracy without the Greek philosophers. They invented it, they lived it. And they also had the ideas and basic tools that are required to establish it, as well as there are things that are necessary to make democracy, the idea, the good idea of democracy, to make it work. And what we need are highly educated people. They need to be intelligent, educated, and fit, physically fit. In Greece, the physical health and the mental health were interconnected. Okay, they knew you need to be physically fit to be mentally fit, and education was necessary. Okay, and these pre-assumptions to make it work, we don't meet them today anymore. Okay, not on a grand scale. Okay, if you look around. Okay, anyway, these were the foundations. Okay, and then there were tools like the education. People have to be educated. They need to study philosophy. They need to be morally and ethically educated, and they need to learn about dialogue, how to speak, how to find out the truth in a dialogue, rules for social interaction, and virtues like honor, truthfulness, righteousness. So virtues were in a high regard in society. Do you already feel that the basic foundations of democracy are not met today how they were met back in the time when it flourished, when it worked, when it showed the true potential it can unfold? Okay. And then we have Christianity. And I do not want to speak too much about the negative parts that mostly have been induced by the church. I don't have to repeat all the things the church did that are not in the basic idea of Christianity. Let me say, to simplify it, for me, the basic idea is represented by Jesus. And Jesus is simply a person that is loving and forgiving. Okay? Because you have to understand that positive goals cannot be enforced by violence. You cannot use mental or physical violence to enforce something positive, something good, something healthy to happen. You cannot. Okay. So these are two very good and mighty ideas, and this is why they are very seductive, because they can seduce you and convince you easily. And they can be abused, obviously. So it has more often than not been, in a way, in human history, that human always tries to free himself from shackles and chains, from slavery. And more often than not, it happened that the liberation, the idea that should free them, like democracy, like the idea of Jesus Christ, that he had, the love he brought in the world, these liberations have contained the chains that then again enslave humanity. But why does it always happen over and over again that each liberation contains new shackles and chains? Let's find out what went wrong. Because the foundations are so good, right? So the thing is, now I want to start from two different talking points. Now we have the basics, the positive sides of democracy, the working parts of democracy, of virtues that we have, of the moral and ethical system, it derives from Greece. But also, if we're talking about moral and ethics, we're talking that influences us today, it's also influenced by Christianity. So these two intermingled make what influences us today. But why has it been so perverted? Why doesn't it lead to paradise or to good outcome? Okay, the next talking point now from which we proceed in our view on the topic is that you have to understand the mental health pandemic that we are in today. And it will sound strange to you in the beginning, but it will make perfect sense. Believe me that. See, I will use optimistic numbers now. So there are toxic personality disorders that spoil everything. And there was this Italian man called Niccolo Machiavelli, and he coined the phrase machiavellianism. You can educate yourself about it, okay? But it basically says, if everyone is good, but one person is manipulative, violent, bad, self-absorbed, you name it, then everything gets spoiled. The whole system does not work anymore, okay? So there are the following. I will give you a list of personality disorders, and these are the problem that make everything not work out, okay? And it is basically narcissism, machiavellianism, and antisocial personality disorder. And I think these all fall onto cluster B personality disorders. There's also borderline inside, but borderline in general is not necessarily so toxic. But I'm not a specialist for this topic. You can watch Sam Vaknin's YouTube channel if you want to find out more about this. And if you want to educate yourself, just Google dark tedrad. It is an evoluted form of the dark triad, and it involves all the negative personality disorders that are very toxic for society and social groups of people, okay? Communities. So the optimistic numbers I want to give you is just one number, and that is 5%. So it's an optimistic number of how many people in our Western society have these personality disorders. There are much more who have traits like that, but 5% are either narcissists, psychopath, aka antisocial personality disorder, machiavellists or sadists, or it's all belongs together. And if a person has one of these personality disorders, it is enough in a team to spoil the work of the whole team. If you have one of these persons in a political party, it destroys the productivity, the positive potential of the whole group. It's like if you have a bucket, if 5%, if you have 5% of these, it is like you have a bucket of water and you put 20 parts clear water in the bucket and 1 part of poison. It is enough to make the whole bucket useless. You can put this away, you can't use it anymore. And this is how these people influence society. One person poisons a lot of persons. And one side effect is that these people induce reactive abuse on the people around them. So by abusing people very subtly at times, so you don't even realize what really happens, they induce reactive reactions. So the people who are abused give back some of the medicine of the toxin that is injected in them, and thus the people get toxic as well because they have to defend themselves. They say, all right, you do this to me, what? I'm doing the same to you. And this is how it spreads. So I said it in the beginning, you cannot enforce positive outcomes. You can only enforce negative things with mental or physical violence. It just leads to more of it. And thus, you cannot establish the goals that we need in a working democratic society by mental or physical violence. It's not possible. You cannot establish it this way. And this is, this is the main reason why it is so important. You might say 5% of these toxic individuals is not that much, but it is, because it spreads and it spoils the whole cake for everyone. Okay? Now, we have now the two talking points. We have the mental health pandemic, and we understand where we are coming from. I remind you, we're coming from the Greek philosophy that invented democracy and the tools used for it, and Christianity. And then we have the mental health disorders, and they spoil the whole idea of it all. Now, ironically, human history is very ironic at times. And Nietzsche was, or is, let me say, Nietzsche is the most influential philosopher of the last 1,000 years, and he is the most popular today. Just fact. Anyway, he said that actually he sees the reason for the decay of moral and ethics and all the problems we have today that we are talking right now about. He sees the reason, the root for it, ironically, in the Greek philosopher Sokrates. Because Sokrates established, he initiated a change of powers by establishing ironically the foundations of democracy today. And I don't say democracy, I say democracy is a great idea, and this is why I use the term seductive, because it's so convincing if you understand the theory and in models, in scientific experiments. It is very convincing. It works, and it works under certain conditions. And you could even add great things to it, like swarm intelligence, which means, let's say democracy works as intended. The police means people. I mean, P-O-L-I-S. It's the people. The citizens, the majority of them elects someone they trust, a great personality, or a group, a representant that is establishing the goals of this collective. Okay? And then they are using the rules of dialogue to find out the truth, to unlock swarm intelligence. So the group of politicians or the group of people, they discuss, they talk, they are open for an unknown outcome of the conversation and something great that nobody in the beginning had in his own mind is the outcome. This means we use the combined intelligence of all of them, but we block it out today because of the 5%. Because if you go into a educated person, open-heartedly, loving, caring, forgiving, educated about philosophy, knowing everything that you need to make it work. If you go in a conversation and there is one machiavellist, he destroys the whole outcome because he will just block it. You have to believe me, they would destroy the outcome of swarm intelligence. So this is why it doesn't work, okay? And now back to Sokrates. He initiated a change of power by having this great idea that, as I told you, could work. And this is why it was used, because everybody said, hey, this is a great idea. Okay, but the problem now today that we also have is the great idea of equality, and people should not be violent because violence is negative and only makes more violence. And this is the problem, is that the 5% of these people also hide behind this protection. This means they can act subtly with mental violence and pursuing their goals and being successful with it. While hiding behind the protection of the state. Because they have the equality too. They are protected the same way as everybody is protected, and this is necessary. This is absolutely necessary. But I believe, now I'm developing the idea of Nietzsche, why it could be also the shackles, and the chains of this great liberation that happened, is because it freed the people, it has the potential to work. But the equality, the problem with this equality and the protection of everybody is that the bad people are on the same level as the good people and are protected, and they use their subtle violence to establish negative things, while the good people can do nothing they can do nothing, They cannot establish positive things as long as the other 5% are on an equal level with them. Does anybody understand that? Yes. So, in other words, the potentially positive traits of democracy are not working, while the negative potential is being expressed and happening today. So let me start a positive. Positive democracy would mean the majority of people decides who represents them in politics and being happy and content with what is happening in politics. Okay, there is someone representing them, and the result, the outcome, satisfies the people. So it works. Plus, swarm intelligence means the intelligence of the people is combined to make a good vote. And the politicians, they discuss, and are open to find an unknown truth that they don't know before, and thus it all combines to a combined intelligence of everyone to establish the best for everyone. So this is the positive idea. But today we have the monkey mind of the 5% of negative people, which means they look and analyze the system and understand, oh, this is how it works. Now, what do I need to make myself successful? So if a machiavellist, psychopath, narcissist thinks about how can I be successful as a politician, as whatever, I need dumb people to vote me because an intelligent, educated, mature, narcissistic, aware person would never vote me. So I need dumb people. So if I am in a position to change something, to establish something, I will try to establish a system that dumps down people. I want dumb followers, stupid people that can be easily influenced. Okay? So this is what they want. And then, if you have dumb, stupid, easy to influence people, these people will vote for the 5%. All right? And the monkey mind, this is the monkey mind. The human always sees good, there are good ideas. Democracy, Jesus, good ideas. And then there comes the person that has a high intelligence, but no emotional intelligence, no empathy, no moral. These people have no moral, no ethics. It's scientifically proven. And this person understands perfectly how the system works and uses it, abuses it. Okay? And then they will get on top of the system. And then this describes why we are where we are today. Okay? The negative parts are expressed. Because the positive part is blocked out. Okay? What we would need would be a majority that is highly educated, very healthy physically and mentally. And this is not there. And this is, it's all interconnected. And this is why we have the leaders that we have. Because if the society is easily to be influenced, and it is interconnected. It is interconnected, but it has grown over time. It has developed this way. And the big problem again is with mental or physical violence, you can only establish negative things. And the people in charge are mentally and physically violent. Otherwise, they wouldn't have reached the top. This is what Machiavellism tells us. So they can only manifest and establish negative things. And it spreads and it spreads and it spreads. Yeah, just think about that.